In rural Montana, a legend haunts the long, lonely nights. After 1 in the morning, every radio tower goes silent, all except one. Locals whisper its name in hushed tones. Station 103.6, the midnight signal. No one knows who runs it. No one admits to listening. But every single night, at exactly 1:13 a.m., it broadcasts a chilling, singular message. If you hear your name, don't look at the door. Most people write it off as a spooky local myth, a campfire story to scare the kids. But for 26-year-old truck driver Liam Carter, that myth was about to become his terrifying reality. It was the first night. Liam was navigating a desolate stretch of highway, the world outside his cab a swirling vortex of heavy snow. The radio was his only company, and he scanned the channels, searching for anything besides the endless hiss of static. Suddenly, a clear voice cut through the noise, sharp and cold. "This is the midnight signal. Liam Carter, keep driving." Liam froze, his hands tightening on the wheel. "Is this some kind of prank?" he muttered, his voice filling the empty cab. As if hearing him, the voice on the radio replied instantly, its tone flat and devoid of emotion. "Don't slow down." A chill that had nothing to do with the winter air crawled up his spine. He glanced down at the radio console. It wasn't even tuned to 103.6. In fact, the display was dark. The radio was off. Panic set in. He slammed the power button once, twice, a dozen times. The radio refused to shut off. The voice only grew deeper, more resonant, filling the small space. "Don't look behind you." His heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the silence of the snowstorm. He couldn't resist. His eyes flickered to the rearview mirror. For a split second, a shape materialized in the backseater, dark, indistinct form that wasn't there before. He blinked, and it was gone. But the feeling of its presence lingered, cold and heavy. Night 2. The blizzard had become a whiteout, making driving impossible. Liam, shaken and exhausted, checked into a small, forgotten roadside motel. He locked the door, bolted it, and tried to convince himself he had imagined the whole thing. But at 1:13 a.m. on the dot, the motel room's old television flickered to life, bathing the room in an eerie blue glow. The screen was pure static, but through the crackling hiss, the same voice emerged, calm and sinister. "Liam, open the door only if you want to disappear." As the words faded, 3 soft knocks echoed from the other side of his door. Knock, knock. Liam held his breath, his body rigid with fear. The knocking stopped. Silence returned, but it was a predatory silence. Then a shadow moved under the door, a dark slit of movement against the hallway light. He saw the impossible shape of long, stretched fingers sliding slowly across the floor, feeling their way into his room. The voice from the TV whispered, a conspiratorial breath in the dark. "You're being chosen." By the third night, Liam was desperate. He drove to the nearest town and stumbled into the sheriff's office, the morning light feeling like a distant memory. The sheriff, a weathered man named Dalton, listened patiently until Liam mentioned the broadcast. The sheriff's face went pale. "You heard the midnight signal?" he asked, his voice dropping. "Yes," Liam confirmed, his own voice trembling. "What did it say?" "It said my name." With a sudden, sharp movement, Sheriff Dalton got up and locked the office doors. He turned back to Liam, his eyes wide with a fear that seemed ancient. "Every year, one person hears their name," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "They're never seen again." "What happens to them?" Liam asked, dread coiling in his stomach. The sheriff leaned in close. "The station. It isn't man-made." Before he could explain further, the sheriff's own radio crackled to life on his hip. The familiar, cold voice filled the room. "Sheriff Dalton, don't help him." The sheriff let out a choked cry and ripped the radio from his belt, throwing it across the room where it smashed against the wall. He was terrified. "That thing isn't a voice," he stammered, backing away. "It's a caller." "A caller for what?" Liam demanded. The sheriff looked at him, his face a mask of pure horror. "For you, the fourth night." Liam knew he had to get out. He jumped in his truck and sped out of town, but a horrifying new game had begun. Every road he took, every turn he made, somehow looped him back to the same place. A clearing in the woods dominated by the skeletal frame of the abandoned radio tower for 103.6. It stood there against the dark sky, a silent, rusted giant. As he stared, the tower's heavy steel door creaked open, swinging inward as if moved by an unseen hand, an invitation into the darkness. He felt a pull, an unnatural curiosity fighting against his survival instinct. He stepped out of his truck and walked toward it, his feet moving as if in a trance. Inside, old, dust-covered recording equipment hummed with a low, latent power. In the center of the control room, a single vintage microphone on a stand slowly turned, aiming its grill directly at him. The voice came again, no longer from a speaker, but whispering from every corner of the room at once. "Step closer, Liam." He shook his head, breaking the spell, and stumbled backward. But as he tried to flee, the entire building began to shake violently. The walls groaned, and he heard a skittering scraping sound from within them, the sound of something enormous and multi-limbed moving just beneath the surface. The voice spoke one last time, this time through the microphone itself. "You've been chosen. You heard the signal. Now we answer." From the deepest shadows of the room, a figure began to unfold. It was tall, impossibly thin, and had no face. Its body was a twisted mass of what looked like antenna wires and rusted metal, and its head was a black, void-like speaker cone. The creature leaned toward him, its form defying all logic, and from the speaker that served as its head, Liam's own terrified voice echoed back at him, repeating the station's first message. "Liam Carter, don't look at the door." The tower door slammed shut, the sound like a final gunshot. A scream, metallic and inhuman, echoed across the silent landscape, and then nothing. The next morning, police were called to investigate reports of metallic screams near the old tower. They found Liam's truck parked outside. The door was open. The lights were still on. The cab was empty. Inside the tower, all the equipment was cold and silent. But on the dusty console, a single message had been traced by a fingertip. Next name at 1:13 a.m. that night, and every night after, the midnight signal broadcasted on schedule. But the voice was different. It was a new voice, laced with an echo of static and fear. And it spoke the same chilling words. If you hear your name, don't look at the door. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy stories that crawl under your skin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. Stay safe out there.